Away from Parliament, the Office of the Attorney General has objected to the admission of the phone call conversation between Godfred Dame and Richard Jakpa into evidence. This objection came after lawyers for the minority leader, Dr. Kesiola Tuforsen, submitted the audio in an attempt to cross-examine Richard Jakpa on his claims that the Attorney General has been engaging him at odd hours to implicate Tuforsen. There is more in the following report filed by ChannelOne News' Hansen Ajiman.
The audio, which was served on all parties prior to the sitting, except for lawyers for Richard Jakpa, was played in open court. Justice Ifiasewa Saribuchi asked for the tape to be played to verify if what was served is the same as the one before the court and if the audio is admissible. The audio was confirmed by the prosecution to be the same as the one served on them and the one tendered for the mistrial application, which was dismissed by the court. The prosecution, however, objected to the admissibility of the audio in evidence. Making the case for the prosecution, Director of Public Prosecution Yvonne Atakra Obuobisa indicated that in accordance with Section 51 of the Evidence Act, the tape is extremely irrelevant and not admissible. According to her, the recording discusses matters of the issuance of letters of credit, and those issues, in her opinion, are already before the court through the cross-examination of Tuforsen's witnesses, like Alex Mode and Setekpe, as well as evidence adduced by prosecution witnesses. Ms. Yvonne Atakra Obuobisa also argues that the recording breaches the Attorney General's right to privacy, as lawyers for Tuforsen have not shown any crime related to the actions of Godfred Dame that warranted the recording without his consent. Dr. Abdul Basit Aziz Bamba, representing the minority leader, however, described the objection as frivolous, untenable, and should be overruled. He argues that the content of the recording is relevant as it relates to discussions on exhibits already before the court, dealing with the supply agreement for the ambulances, as well as the authorization. He further posits that the tape is relevant because it touches on when the letters of credit should have been established and whether any financial loss at all has been caused to the state. Dr. Basit Bamba also disagreed with the prosecution view that recording the call without the consent of the Attorney General breaches Godfred Dame's right to privacy. He argues that the Attorney General's action relates to a crime of willful suppression, contrary to the dictates of Section 239 and 246 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act 29. Justice Ifiasewa Saribuchi, after hearing the arguments from both sides, adjourned the case to Thursday to deliver a ruling on the admissibility of the audio. Representatives of the parties addressed the media after the proceedings.
AG says it should have been one letter of credit for the entire 200 ambulances. You hear Jakpa say, no, it is for every 50. So the issues the AG has brought to court to ground his charge of woefully causing financial loss to the state and misapplication of public funds against Tuforsen were the issues he was discussing with Jakpa on that tape. So how can anybody say the issues are not relevant?
And so today what they're saying is to tender the same tape. So they say, fine, if you want to tender, you must show that it is relevant to the issues you are going to contest in this matter. And that's why we demonstrated that it's not relevant so far as the determination of whether they are guilty or not guilty or the issues involved.
The judge will on Thursday deliver a ruling as to whether to admit this order for the purpose of cross-examination of Richard Jakpa. Reported for ChannelOne TV, Hansen Ajiman.